Secrets behind preventing and dealing with objections. What is going on, real estate family? My name is Wandile Mr. W, and today I'm going to walk you guys through the best ways to prevent and deal with objections. If you guys like this video, please feel free to comment, share, subscribe, send it over to another colleague who will get a lot of value from this. In a nutshell, what we essentially do is that we help real estate agents utilize AI to help them attract leads, qualify, and book instant appointments. I have a free masterclass that I host every single Thursday, 7 p.m. Click on the link in the description and let's jump straight into the video. So one thing that I see that is super prevalent in this industry is that many real estate agents are really bad at sales. A lot of them always tell me that, oh, Anita, I'm good at sales, I can close. And every time I'm like, okay, sell me this marker, sell me this pen, I realize and I see that they don't know anything at all. Okay, and one of the biggest thing I've noticed is that many of them don't know exactly how to prevent objections and deal with objections. Okay, so what I'm going to be walking you guys through today is really giving you guys the right scripts to utilize. Okay, number one, to prevent objections, as well as if you do get objections, what's the best way to go about it? Guys, at the end of the day, your leads just want to feel heard and understood. But the problem is that many of you guys use pressure sales tactics and you listen to respond instead of having to actually first listen to understand, get them to understand where they are coming from, all right? And then you can speak about, or you can prevent your argument so that they can see where you're coming from and you can find a common ground. That is one of the easiest and the best ways for you to then get your ideal commission that you want from them, whether it's a 7+0.5% plus VAT, or whether that's to get a sole mandate or anything that would require them to go ahead with your suggestions. Because at the end of the day, you are the expert. Okay, and they need to follow your lead. But if they don't follow your lead, then you're in trouble. So I'm going to walk you guys through exactly everything that you need to do in order for you guys either to prevent objections or how to deal with objections if it does happen. I always like to say the best way is to prevent objections, but if you have to deal with them, let's jump straight into it and I'll walk you through how to do it. All right, real estate family, let's jump straight into it. There's a lot to cover to help you guys as soon as possible. And if you guys want me to break things down a little bit further, I'm happy to do it. So this is a resource pack that I provided to my premium clients just to help them close more deals, because I've seen many real estate agents are struggling when it comes to sales. If I had to ask you right now, sell me this marker, many of you guys are going to speak about its features and how it's going to help you, etc., etc. But that's the big problem. All right, you're assuming you know what the market wants, and you're assuming that this feature or the product behind this marker is going to help your prospect, when that is not the way that you want to go. You want to ask questions first before you create assumptions. Okay, the whole purpose of asking the right questions helps you understand exactly what your clients want so that you can give them what they want. That is the whole purpose of sales, guys. It's not about applying pressure and forcing down a feature or forcing down someone's throat a benefit that could or either not benefit them at all. All right, it's not about that, guys. It's about how can you ask the right questions and then utilizing the answers as leverage for you to help that person. Hence why I always have to say that sales is all about helping your prospects make the best decision that works best for their ideal outcome. Sales is not about applying pressure and pushing prospects to make a decision against their will. For example, selling ice to Eskimos. That is the most stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Because at the end of the day, if you don't need that product, why are you pushing, why are you pressurizing me to go ahead and buy it? And we are now moving into a society where most, and I would say 99% of people don't like this strategy, which is pressure sales. And that's basically applying pressure and pushing prospects to making a decision against their will. And that's what I'm noticing. People don't want to feel pressure to buy. Why? Because that is what causes buyer's remorse. That is what creates a bad image from the company. That's the reason why people don't like cold calling, because they've been cold called themselves. All right, and they didn't like that experience because someone was pressurizing them to make a decision against their will. But the whole purpose of this is to really help you guys understand the difference between pressure sales and consultative sales before I jump straight into how to prevent objections and how to deal with objections. Consultative sales, guys, is all about helping your prospects make the best decision that works best for their ideal outcome. Because at the end of the day, guys, it's not about pushing an agenda or breathing down a product's benefits down your customer's throat if it's not what they want. Okay, if someone is not in the market for a marker, I'm not going to try and push pressure or put pressure on them to buy this marker so that I can meet my targets and make commissions. That is what most people are doing. All right. And your prospects are not dumb. They know that you're trying to meet targets. You're trying to make commissions. So you're going to do everything that you can in your power to sell them something. That's the reason why that most people don't have trust nowadays, right? Most people are very skeptical because they've been burnt multiple times before. But if you utilize the consultative sales approach, you're not trying to push an agenda down their throat to get them to buy the pen, but instead you're pushing back to really see, do they really want this pen? So for example, before I jump straight into how to prevent objections and how to deal with objections, and guys, it's very important to understand, if you're going to be selling a marker, for example, instead of breathing down and pushing features down the prospect's throat, you actually want to push back. If someone had to ask me, Wandile, sell me this marker, instead of me saying, okay, well, this marker is a great marker, it's a blue marker, you know, it's going to help you write better, it's going to help you explain better, it's going to help you present better. I don't even know if this person wants to utilize it for presentations. I don't even know if this person is really interested in a blue marker. I don't even know if this person wants a marker. So first thing I'm going to ask them is, but why a marker? Like, why do you need a marker? All right? Now that person's going to tell me, well, I need a marker because I present a lot. Boom. Now I've got that leverage. I now know that the person presents. Present? What are you presenting? And now they're telling me what they're presenting. I'm like, but I mean, there's a million markers. Why what would cause, why would you want to be interested in a V-Pilot marker? Well, because I've been using a lot of markers and they don't last long, they're not durable, they don't provide great quality, etc., etc. Giving me their buying signals. They're basically telling me what their issue was and what they're looking for now. Can you see now, what am I doing from a consultative side? I'm asking the right questions so that in the end, if I feel that this marker is going to meet their needs, now I'm helping them make the best decision that works for their ideal outcome. That is the core essence, guys, between consultative sales and pressure sales. Pressure sales, you're not even giving a damn about the prospect. You're just going off and on about the features and the benefits and assuming that whatever you have is going to help them, all right? For example, sellers and buyers, you're just breathing down why the market now is good, why this house is amazing, the kitchen and stuff like that. But you're making assumptions. You don't even know if that's what they're interested in. You don't even know if whether that's exactly what's up their alley. But when you take the consultative sales approach, what are we doing here? All right, we are asking the right questions so that we know exactly what they want, and then we can utilize those answers as leverage. All right, so how to prevent objections. Number one is to ask the right questions. If you ask the right questions and you hear what the prospect wants, that is ultimately the cheat code. If somebody is telling you that they like steers, why would you shove McDonald's down their throats? The reason why you're going to get someone tell you, oh, well, let me think about it. Let me talk to my wife, or I'm not sure if I want this product. Okay, because they've told you that they want steers and you're assuming that they want McDonald's, and now you're pushing McDonald's down their throat. But if you had steers, guess what? They would then buy from you, right? So that is the exact approach that you want to take when it comes to preventing objections, guys. Objections in a nutshell is someone who's either unsure, there's lack of trust, and they don't want to be confrontational. So they're going to take the easy way route and try and avoid you by saying, call me tomorrow, call me next week, or let me think about it, or let me talk to my wife, or let me talk to my cat. They're going to come up with any excuse under the sun, all right, so that they don't necessarily have to tell you the real reason why they're not going with you. Why? Because they've experienced this many times before. All right, so the best questions to ask your clients, all right, if you want to prevent objections, just for sake of time, I can't cover everything, is number one, you need to, let me just come down here. It's quite a lot here, guys. You need to utilize pushback questions. You can pause this video and look at all the different questions, but I like to utilize pushback questions, especially in the beginning, so that I can actually see exactly what do they want. So for example, if I'm looking to get a seller to list with me, instead of me saying, yeah, you know what, I'm the best agent, I've got this many years of experience, we can help you sell here, we sold this house down the road, etc., etc. Stop doing that, guys. What you want to do, push back. All right, so this is how I would do it. I was like, well, you know what, I just really want to understand, James. Maybe you could just help me understand your perspective. What's driving your decision to consider selling your house despite the current market challenges? All right, what's inspiring you to think about selling at this moment? I'm pretty sure you can see how bad the market is right now. All right, what are you doing? You're pushing back. Why? Because when you're pushing back, guess what's that doing? You're now telling them, like, I'm not even sure, like, why do you want to do this? Now, guess what? Someone who's really ready to sell, they're going to tell you, no, I need to do this because of X and X and X. Whatever reason they tell you, now you've got the leverage. So instead of you assuming that they want to sell, you ask them that question to really get a better sense and idea in terms of what's inspiring them to sell or what's driving a decision to consider selling despite the current market challenges. Now, I do need to put an emphasis on this. You cannot use these questions if you're dealing with a cold lead, because a lead will be like, wait, you're calling me. All right. I would say these are best if you're dealing with the seller in person who's maybe expressed interest. Right? Let's say you've called, there's a referral or somebody who has approached you. That's one of the best way to go about it. We mainly utilize AI to get interested people already in the market. So we utilize these type of pushback questions so that we know exactly that this is someone who's serious. But if you're going to be cold calling, it's firstly important to find out if they are ready to sell, and if they are, when you see them in person, then you can utilize a pushback question so that there's no back and forth, or there's no them building up this resistance so that, you know, they can take control of that conversation. All right. So pushback questions are amazing to get them to open up. That is the whole purpose of that. We need to figure out what is it that they want. And once they tell us what they want, I like to utilize expanded questions. Guys, expanded questions are one of the easiest ways for you to prevent objections. Why? Because now they're going to open up. So let's say, for example, that seller tells me, no, look, Wandile, we need to sell because our kids have moved out and the house is too big and we cannot afford this bond anymore. We've got 6 months left in terms of savings and we really need to sell as soon as possible. So I just, when you're saying that you've got 6 months of saving left, can you maybe just give me an idea in terms of a little bit of background on that? Or can you just help me understand that a little bit better when you say that you've got 6 months worth of savings left? And the whole reason why I'm doing that, guys, is because I want them to really open up. Well, you know what? My wife just recently got retrenched. I'm the only sole provider right now. So with my own income and on top of that, the savings that we have left over, it's not going to be able to sustain us for the next 6 months. So we really need to sell as soon as possible so that we can ultimately get to where we need to be. Boom. All right. And then when they say get to where we need to be, I'm like, oh, what do you mean by get to where you need to be? Right? Most agents are just going to take that and be like, oh, let me help you, boom, boom, boom. No, guys, you really want to get them to unpack and break down the true and the real reason why they want to sell. So when someone's like, get to where we need to be, I want to find out, what? Get to where you need to be? Can you maybe just unpack that for me? Well, you know what? We want to move down to the Cape because my wife's parents are there, my parents are there, we're here in Joburg, our kids are now abroad, and it just wouldn't make financial sense for us to be here in Joburg. Now you've got the ultimate reason why they're there on the call, why they're engaging with you. All right. And how did you do that? Is because you utilize pushback questions and expanded questions to really get a good sense and idea in terms of why are they there and ultimately why do they want to sell. Now, before you jump straight into trying to breathe down their throat and pitch them, this is what I would say is one of the most important things, is asking consequence-based questions, because consequence-based questions, guys, are one of the best ways for you to get someone to sell themselves without you having to do it. So, for example, you could essentially say to the seller, well, you know what? I mean, just based on what I'm seeing and what we've spoken about, have you truly thought about what's going to happen if you don't sell within the next 6 months? What's going to happen? And what if your wife doesn't get another job in the next 6 months? What we're trying to do here, guys, is we're trying to get our sellers to start thinking ahead. Like, damn, if this continues happening, right? If this continues happening, then we might be on the streets, or, you know, I might need to get 2 jobs, or, you know, we might need to cancel our bond, or we might be in trouble, right? Consequence-based questions are one of the best questions to utilize to get the seller to start thinking critically. And the reason why you want to get them to think critically is because, guys, at the end of the day, when it comes to getting someone to make a decision, especially when it comes to selling or buying, it's one of the biggest decisions they're ever going to make in their life. So sometimes they will push back purely because it's a very big decision. So that's why I'm saying that if you want to start preventing objections, you need to start bringing out these questions without first pitching in terms of how you can help them. Because now someone tells me, hey, look, well, I don't know what we're going to do. We might be out in the streets if we don't make a plan in the next 6 months, if we don't sell our house in 6 months. Now, I can then essentially say to them, so don't you think that maybe now would be the best time to sell? Because then at least we have more than enough time to get you out of your house and we can get you in Cape Town as soon as possible, which is more focused on results-based thinking, which I'm not going to cover for the sake of the call or for the sake of this video. Once you guys utilize consequence-based questions, and you guys can pause and look at these scripts over here, It's one of the easiest and the fastest ways, guys, for you to get your leads to start thinking ahead. And the minute they start to realize that, damn, we might be in trouble, 9 times out of 10, this is essentially where you want to ensure that you can say, okay, let's say, for example, well, yeah, we might be in trouble. Then you want to say, oh, so when it comes to selling right now, what would make sense for you right now? All right. Or, so James, tell me then what will make sense for you right now based off what you've just told me. Well, we need to sell. Boom. All right. And how soon are you looking to sell? Right now. Okay? And that is really the whole purpose of preventing objections, because once you can do that, then the seller feels like you really paid attention, you focused on their problems, and you essentially help them come to that conclusion that they need to sell without you having to breathe down their throat. And when it comes to, guys, objection prevention, it's all about utilizing, for example, consultative sales. Because once you can do that, guys, what are you doing? You're helping your prospects make the best decision that works best for their ideal outcome, instead of applying pressure and pushing prospects to make a decision against their will. All right. So the framework is very simple. You essentially have your opener. All right. You ask the right questions, you utilize pushback questions, then you utilize consequence-based questions, then you can pitch them in terms of how you can help them. You set up that appointment, you do a listing presentation, and you get the mandate. All right. So this framework has a higher converting percentage due to the fact that there's higher trust and respect. You're going to get less objections and time wasters because you're going and approaching more from a perspective of consultation first before pitching. The doctor is not going to instantly assume he knows what's wrong with you until he first asks you what's wrong. Okay? But anyway, let's jump straight into objections. So let's say, for example, you now have to deal with objections, right? Oh, I need to think about it, or I want to list with multiple agents, or your commission is too high, or I'm not sure you can sell my house at the price that I want, yada, yada, etc., etc. One thing I will tell you, and this is what's very important, is that if you want to deal with objections, do not listen to respond. You want to listen to understand, and then you respond. All right, so the fastest ways I could really explain this, and guys, as I said, I have detailed training where I really break this in full detail, but I don't want this video to go on for too long, is that when somebody gives you an objection, do not respond immediately with an argument that's going to counter that objection. I don't care how stupid you think it is, or how obvious you think it is. Like, no, well, you can sell right now because we're in a seller's market, for example, right? Your sellers, the reason why they're giving you that objection is because they don't trust you. Their guard is up. So if you're going to respond immediately, all right, with another argument, what are you essentially doing, guys? You're creating more resistance. And guess what's going to happen? Nothing is going to work, all right? They're going to say, okay, well, let me think about it. You assume that they need to think about it, but no, they already made that decision. They're not going to work with you. And that's why they ghost you, and you get ghosted and you get blue ticks. So the best way, guys, to prevent objections, or let me rather say to deal with objections, I need to actually fix that, is you always want to ask questions in a curious manner before responding so that you can get your leads to open up. What is the whole purpose of this, guys? To get their guard down. Once you can get the leads guard down, then you'll be able to ask them the right questions to understand where they're coming from, and then you can counter with whatever you want to say. Let me give you an idea. All right. So let's say, for example, we've got an objection of, oh, well, Wandile, I want to list with multiple agents to increase my chances of selling. I know, and you know that we know that that's a bad idea. But before you go on and you tell them why that's a bad idea, that is the worst way to do it, you essentially just want to respond, all right, and do this in the best way. You want to ask questions in a curious manner before responding so that you can get your leads to open up. So if they say that to me, right, this is what I would say. I totally understand where that perspective would come from, and I see why you might want to do that. All right. So that's what I'm doing. All right. What am I doing here? I'm utilizing verbal agreements to get their guard down. Right. So that they can really, this person understands. Right. So that I don't have to be combative, or I don't have to go through a confrontational side of things to then get to see how this agent is going to respond. So once you do that, guys, this is what you want to essentially do. All right. Totally understand. May I ask a quick question? Yeah, sure. What's the most important thing to you about the selling process? Is it getting the highest price or selling as quickly as possible? All right. Now they're going to tell you what let's say, for example, they say, hey, I want to make sure that I sell as quickly as possible, and I also want the highest price. Now you can respond. All right. Well, look, I can understand why you might think that more agents means better chances at success. But what if I told you that working exclusively with me might actually increase your chances of selling faster and at a better price because of the focused marketing strategy and accountability that comes with an exclusive agreement? And then you can emphasize that a little bit further. But the purpose of this objection handling is that you're not immediately listening to respond, you're listening to understand, you make them feel heard, and then afterwards you ask them a question. Because remember guys, we don't want to go under that assumption that we know why they think that way. We really want to get an understanding of what's important to them about the selling process. Is it getting the highest price or selling as quickly as possible? In fact, what I would even do after they tell me, let's say they say, well, both, I would come back here and ask an expanded question. What makes you say that? Just so I'm on the same page, can you tell me a little bit more about that, right? Why you would want both? Because I really want to get down to that they can, for example, get the highest price or sell as quick as possible. All right, it's going to get them to open up a little bit more so I can get more leverage when I answer. That is the whole purpose, guys, of dealing with objections. If you're going to deal with objections, don't listen to respond. I have to say this again. Listen to understand, get their guard down, ask them a question, be curious, like, okay. So what makes you, I'm just trying to understand and be on the same page. What makes you say that when you say that? For example, get them to open up. Once they open up and they feel like you're actually listening so that they feel understood, then you can respond with your counter argument. I don't care how stupid their answer is or what the objection is. The whole purpose here is you need to follow this process. Don't immediately counter argue. First, let them know that you understand. Ask them a question so that you're not going under assumptions. Ask them expanded questions after that so that they can really get an understanding that you are really just trying to understand them a little bit better. Then you can respond. Go to commission. Your commission is too high. All right. Yeah, sure. I totally understand and I get where you're coming from. I'm 100% with you. So I just want to quickly find out from you, if that's okay. Out of curiosity, how do you feel about paying a lower commission, or how do you feel paying a lower commission might affect the overall sale price of your home? And then they're gonna tell you whatever it is. And then you can ask an expanded question to really get them to open up a little bit more. And then you can come in. Oh, I can totally appreciate your perspective. But I want to find out, would you be open to seeing how a more comprehensive marketing plan, which often results in a higher sale price, could actually net you more money even after commission? So can you see how, guys, the whole purpose of this is you don't just want to counter immediately. You want to essentially get them to bring their guard down by agreeing with whatever objection they have, all right? Then asking them a question, all right, about that particular objection, and then you can counter, all right? But I would actually even say, ask the question, use expanded questions to really get them to open up, speak a little bit more about it. Because I always like to say, guys, ask enough questions and the prospect will tell on themselves, right? So somebody says they want to think about it. I'm like, sure, I totally understand why you might want to think about it. I mean, selling your house is definitely a big decision, but I just want to find out from you on your side, what would you say is your selling decision process, just so that I'm on the same page. And then they'll say, hey, well, you know what? We've been in this house for about 10 years and it has a lot of sentimental value. And, we're just not 100% sure whether we want to let go of that yet. You see, now you know what is holding them back from actually selling. The house has a lot of sentimental value. But let's say, for example, that they can't afford the house anymore. And if they stay longer, it's going to actually hurt them a little bit more. Then you can say, but I just want to be on the same page with you. What's more important to you? Staying in a house that has sentimental value, knowing that it's going to cause you more stress? I mean, you mentioned your wife was in hospital because of the stress. Or would you rather want to make more new memories in a new home that you can afford with the less stress? Boom! Can you see? Now they get to think like, hey, this person is 100% right. And you didn't just assume that. You asked the right questions to get them to open up. Now you understand why they're talking to you. Now you can utilize those answers as leverage in a positive way. And then whenever an objection comes, you can ask them a question to really get an understanding in terms of where their head is at. And then you come in with your argument, right? With your counter argument that's going to ultimately help them. All right. So just pause the video if you guys need to look at how you would do a commission concern, all right, uncertainty about an agent's abilities, fear of limited exposure. If I just list with you, will my home get enough exposure? I'm not sure you can sell my house at the price that I want. I've had bad experience working with real estate agents before. I want to try selling it to myself to save money. I'm not sure I want to be locked into a contract. Just pause the video, guys, get these scripts. But ultimately, what's important, these scripts will not mean shit until, I need to emphasize this, This will not mean anything until you understand the framework of how to deal with an objection. Your prospect is either confused, they don't trust you, and they want to avoid confrontation. So they're going to do everything that they can to exit that conversation. So what we want to do is we always want to listen, to understand, and then we respond. But we listen to understand, right? We want to agree with them. Then we want to ask questions for clarification. Then we want to utilize expanded questions to really get to the heart of the reason why they're giving you that objection. And then we respond. So you can utilize this as a framework, which for whichever objection that you get, always write down the answers that you feel will work best for you. Okay? But use this framework. Ask first, then utilize expanded questions to really get them to break down and give you the true, real reason. All right, utilizing expanded questions, and then you can respond. And I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, you will then get that seller or that buyer to move ahead with you if you do it correctly and you have the right tonality. Tonality will have to be another training in a nutshell. But guys, I've definitely went on a little bit longer than what I wanted to. As I said, this is literally a 12-page structure, process, framework, workbook, report. For my premium clients, we actually have about 3 training replays for part 1, part 2, and part 3, which is all an hour long because I really have to break this down to help people understand the whole process of selling. If you guys found a lot of value in this, please feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Share it with another agent who's dealing with objections, who doesn't know how to prevent objections, or doesn't know how to deal with objections. And if you guys would like to learn a little bit more about what we do, our process, and the clients that we've worked with, click on the link in the description below. I walk you through exactly how our masterclass is and how we utilize AI to attract, qualify, and book instant appointments. On my side, guys, I'll see you next week on the next one. Went a little bit longer than usual, but I hope this has been valuable. See you guys in the next one. Take care.